Okay, everybody, the time has come. We are 14 days from planting. We have some awesome growth happening in our little pumpkin patch. Unfortunately, that means today we have to go in and thin out our mounds just a little bit. What this does is helps clear space for more growth for our pumpkins. It also helps to cut down on competition for sunlight, for water, for nutrients. Just gives kind of those chosen few more of a leg up and a better chance to really thrive in this space. Not absolutely necessary if you have a lot of space, if you are a little bit more able to sort of control the environment, or if you just have a naturally better environment for growing pumpkins, you can totally skip this step. But for me, I do need to thin it down just a little bit. So we're gonna go over there, we're gonna make some tough choices, and we're gonna narrow it down to some of those pumpkin plants that really just have the best chance of survival. And with a lot of hope and optimism and a lot of attention and awareness, maybe we'll actually get some pumpkins this year. So that's what we're gonna do next, and then we're going to finish out the day by getting some weeding done, making sure their space is as cleared out for them as possible, and then also using a little bit more fertilizer, a little bit of compost, and I'll walk you guys through that process next. So here we go. All right, everybody, the time has come. I have been dreading this moment, but we're here. We're in it. I'm going to take you guys around each mound and just kind of walk you through my thought process of which ones to keep and which ones to take out. Okay, let's do this. Come on in. All right, so this is the first one I want to show you guys. This mound, all of them had 4 seeds that we planted. And for this mound, we only had 1 start to sprout up. All right, so these 2 leaves right here, those are those sprouting leaves. And then the ones that are in the middle are what we call the true leaves. And I talked about that on the last video. All right, so by default, this guy gets to stay. Yay, little buddy, we're rooting for you. But as you can see, he's got 1 really good true leaf coming in. He's got another little baby one over here. We'll see how he does. I would hope that he's a little bit further along by now, but you never know, okay? So this guy is the only one to show up. Does that mean the others won't come later? Not necessarily, but for now, this is the one that we have. All right, so good on ya, rooting for ya. Let's move over to the next one. All right, so this was by far our most successful mound. As you can see, all 4 of our seeds took root. They all sprouted, it's all looking good. So this is gonna be kind of hard to kind of look around and decide who's gonna stay and who's gonna go. As you can see, we already have some mites growing in on these guys. Totally normal for this time of year, for this spot in the yard. So I'll be going over some ways to deal with those in another video. But for today, we got to go back to the decision at hand. Again, they were all planted at the exact same time, so we're going to look for the ones that have the most new growth. All right, as you can see, this one not growing nearly as well as the other, so we're going to go ahead and make the call. I want to get on down in here, get down to the root, and pull him out. You can see the roots in there, right there. I'm sorry. Thank you for your service. All right, so that's one out. The others, it's gonna be kind of tough. So this guy, going back to those true leaves, we've got this one, we've got 2 little ones coming in. Over here, we've got these 2 going strong with this guy over here. These are looking pretty good too. A little new growth up in there. I think for the sake of spacing, I'm gonna go ahead and take this guy out just to give these 2 a little bit more room. I'm gonna reach down in there, grabbing onto the root. Yep, there we go. Oh, we appreciate you. All right, let's come around to the other side. This is our last mound. And something really interesting happened with this guy that I want to show you. So the first 2 to sprout were these 2 right here. You can see they're super tall, doing really well, nice and strong. Then this little guy came in maybe a day later, and he's doing really well too. But check out this guy right here. This one was a no-show for about 5 days after these guys had started to show up. He came in at the last minute. Look, you can still see he has his little seed casing right there, like a little hat. Honestly, that just earned him a spot. He's staying with us, right? I mean, how cool is that? That they're all same kind of seeds. They're planted at the same time in the same environment, but they're all growing at their own pace. Such a really great metaphor for life there, right? So this guy is all kinds of inspirational. I'm keeping him. He earned his spot. So that means I have to make a decision about the others that are all doing really, really well. I think because this one's already growing out so well, this one definitely has a lot of that new growth on it. I think I'm gonna go ahead and take this guy out right here. All right, again, just because these three came up at the same time, he's not flourishing as well, and these have a little bit more of that new growth on them. So, reaching down in, feeling around for that root. Here we go. All right, buddy. Yeah, look at those roots growing in. All right, thank you so much for being here. All right, and actually I think I'm gonna leave 3 in this mound just to see how it goes. So I think that's gonna give a nice little experiment aspect to this as well. So we're gonna have the 1 going strong in this mound, 2 over here, 3 over here. It'll just give us a little bit more information about how these guys like to grow, right? In groups, on their own, more space, not as much space. We're gonna learn as we go, okay? So next up, I'm going to weed this out a little bit more. As you can see, there's a lot of weeds coming in, so I wanna make sure that it's nice and clear for these guys. Then I'll add some compost, a little bit of food. I'll walk you through it. All right, so I weeded this out a little bit, nothing too crazy, just some clover, things like that that are trying to make its way in. And I'll be keeping an eye on that throughout this whole process, right? Tilled up the ground just a little bit, and the next thing I'm gonna do is add some of this. This is the good stuff right here. So exciting. All right, now remember, pumpkins are voracious eaters, so I wanna make sure that every 4 weeks or so, I'm giving them some kind of extra nutrition. Remember, the soil that I've been blessed with in my backyard, not so great for pumpkins. All right, now this is what I'm using now because you'll notice the center number here is a little bit higher than the numbers around it. That indicates that the phosphorus rate in here is higher, okay? When we're starting to plant, we want really nitrogen-rich soil, want to make sure that we've got a lot of good nitrogen content in there to make sure it can grow very well. Once we start getting leaves and once we want to start encouraging those vines to grow and get established, that's when we're gonna up the phosphorus intake, okay? So this first number here, that indicates the nitrogen content. The middle number is the phosphorus, and the last number is the potassium or the potash. All right, now we're gonna be looking at that closer to when we're starting to get flowers blooming, but that's a little ways away. So for today, I'm gonna add in about 1/3 of a cup of this just around the base of each mound, okay? Now you can measure this out if you want. I have a very gloved hand, and I'm gonna just put that around. You don't wanna do too much, because that's when you're gonna run into chemical burn, right? We don't want that either. So I'm just gonna go through all around here, the basing of the mounds, make sure everybody gets their fair share. Okay, come back through this guy. Hey, everybody. Over here. Okay, and really that's it. Now, in addition to this, I'm also going to put an extra layer of compost on top of it at this point, okay? Again, just to add a little bit more oomph to our soil. I'll water it a little bit and keep an eye on it from there. Friends, is it for today. I went ahead and grabbed just a handful of compost and layer it on top of each mound right near the root. If there's any interest into what goes into my compost, I'm more than happy to make another video of that. But really, it's soil. It's got some eggshells in it, coffee grounds. That's the green material. I also have shredded paper, ash and soot from the fireplace for those brown elements of the compost. Compost pile has been doing really well this year, so I'm hoping it works out for our pumpkins as well.